Hi there, this is Cyril. So maybe you're like me and you would like to understand this kind of stuff. Maybe you would even like to sound like this, like Rick Beato's.
Like that.
Like that. Seems easy, right? Well, stick with me till the end of this video and I will explain the best I can what's going on, and I will provide 1 or 2 exercises to practice. Rick regularly shares some 1-minute quick lessons on Instagram. Let's study together a recent post he sent. I strongly suggest you to go and grab your guitar. So maybe first let's have a guitar drop, right? Guitar drop.
Quick lesson, when practicing scales and arpeggios, try to practice them using harmonic movements. So you actually have some chord progressions going on. Let's say you're in the key of E.
Okay, so Rick mentions that we're in the key of E. So let's see what it means. So this is the key of E. I found this nice interactive fretboard. I will put the link in the description. So this is the key of E with all the notes that you can see right there. And of course the chord of E major that we all know is quite easy to see right there. You see E, B, E, G sharp, B, E, right? This one. And you hear that what Rick Beato starts to play is actually the A chord. So this interactive fretboard is quite nice because you can show the notes corresponding to the A chord right there. And here you have all the positions where you can play the 3 notes of the A chord, okay? So basically the notes are A, C sharp and E. So you have of course the position at the top of the neck right there that we all know. But it's not this one that Rick is playing actually. He plays it a bit higher here. So this interactive fretboard is cool too because you can hear the notes, right? And so it starts an arpeggio on this chord and then plays within the scale. So something like that. And you see it follows, of course, the chord shape here. Right? These notes. So maybe you have a hard time to memorize all the fretboard as I do. So what I do usually is I base myself on the pentatonic scale. So a cool thing to know is how to relate the E scale, so the E major scale, to the minor pentatonic diagrams. Here are the pentatonic diagrams. I like, for example, to work here on the very first position of the minor pentatonic. Now we're in the E major scale, this one. Maybe you have good eyes and you can see where this position is. It's a bit hard. The best thing is to know actually what is the relative minor scale to the E major scale. And so for that, you can base yourself on the circle of fifth, which is right there. What is really interesting here is that, okay, you have the notes that are separated by intervals of fifths, right there, C, G, so C, D, E, F, G, so fifth, 5. And on the inner circle here, you have the relative minor scale. And so since we're in the E major, the relative minor scale is the C sharp, right? C sharp, right there, okay? We can base ourselves on the relative minor scale, C sharp. Now, the C sharp is the relative minor scale from the E major scale. We have the C sharp right here, okay? And we can retrieve here the diagrams we've seen with this sequence of notes here. So C sharp, right? Right? And you can recognize the minor pentatonic scale. So it's a good thing because that way you know where to play notes that will be in the scale. What Rick does here he highlights some chords during his improvisation. Actually, he introduces some harmonic movements. So harmonic movements are changing from one chord to another chord. As you can see here, you have the other chords you can play that use the notes of the E major scale. So for example, the E that we've seen, but you can also play the A. Or you can play it here too. Okay? And so this is what Rick does, and because he's really good at guitar, at least in my opinion, he knows when to highlight them. So a good exercise, I think, is at first try to follow Rick slowly, write down on a paper the chord he's using, and his video is nice because we can see here the chords on which he's working and try to see what's going on. So let's listen to him. So now he's still in the E major scale, but he makes the A chord sound. Right? While keeping the E. Okay? So you see, he went from A to B7. So B7, we can ask, of course, the interactive fretboard. So it's B7, so it's slightly different, but you have it here, or at the top of the neck here, so B, right? Or up there too. Now the 7 is like this. So instead of playing the B here, you play the A, right? So that's the 7th, so it's the 7th note, right? Starting from the root note B of this chord, okay? But Rick doesn't strum the whole chord and the notes, it just arpeggiate these so that we can hear it, and he continues to improvise with the other notes of the scale, right? And then you see here he goes back to E, which is the, but obviously it's not here at this position in the neck, is up there, right? Okay, so let's see now the other chords he uses. I don't know if you've noticed it, but he went through the D chord. Actually, the D chord does not belong to the E scale. Is this a mistake? Well, of course not. Use what we call the borrowed chord. Actually, the D chord doesn't belong here in the E scale. In the E scale, we have the D sharp diminished, but it's something that's quite common in chord progression to add some chords that don't belong to the scale. And there are many famous songs that use that. So actually the D major chord, so this one, the D, which is there, is belongs to another scale, right? We can't play it here because of course the note is not available on the E major scale. It's this chord, the D major, is available in the E minor scale. So now in the E minor scale we can find the D major, right? Okay. Rick will continue his improvisation, incorporating more chords and even other chords out of the scale too. So let's listen to this. So C sharp minor belongs to the E scale. So let's show the E major scale again. Here we go. C sharp minor, right? So I'm playing here the E minor shape, so the C sharp minor. And it's still over the E, right? The E major scale. then the B7. So we saw the B7 already. That belongs to the E major scale.
Like that.
So for me, the end is quite amazing because he incorporates other chords. He incorporates the F and the C, and those chords, they don't belong to the E scale, right? We have the F sharp minor, which is this one. We can see it here. So this belongs, that's the one I'm playing right now. He's not playing it. What he plays is the F, right? So a regular F major. Okay. And so if you take this alone, that might sound weird in an E scale while playing a progression over the E scale. But what he does is quite smart because it goes from the C to the F to the D. So you have this progression which is out of the scale but still is consistent altogether. So that adds, of course, a lot of, I would say, interest to his solo. Instead of just remaining on the pentatonic scale or on the major scale, the full E major scale, it goes a bit out. So I'm not a specialist, and please correct me in the comment if I'm wrong, but I think this is what we call playing a bit out. Okay. The second exercise I'd like to show is to slow things down. Just play over the E major scale. So you can put the E major chord in the background as a pedal note or using a looper, and then you just play the scale notes of the E major scale, and try to highlight some of the chords. And maybe you can use the interactive fretboard just to make sure you highlight specific chords. Okay, so I have written down all the chords that Rick is using, and maybe that way you can have a sense and a feeling of what's going on, especially when you play chords that are a bit out of the scale. Of course, for those chords, you won't have much, it will be difficult to incorporate notes from the E major scale. So I would just suggest to arpeggiate those chords, just to hear the difference, following the sequence that Rick's using, and then resolving back to the E major chord at some point. Okay, so let's try that. So this is the loop with just the E note with on 3 octaves, and now we can play with different chords to highlight some sounds. So let's start with the A. So we know the A is right there. Okay. So instead of strumming it, we can arpeggiate it and play with the notes of the scale too, right? When practicing like this, I think it's always good to try to stay audible. I mean, to try to make things sound nice. Just take the time, breathe, and trust yourself, okay? I need to trust myself too. Okay, so let's try with the A chord. Maybe let's stick to the first position of the pentatonic minor, which starts at C sharp again. So of course we could stay with the pentatonic minor. Always sounds nice, but let's highlight the chord, the A chord right there. And you see, in this position here, the A chord, we have this shape here. So this resembles the D shape, right? Okay. So highlight the A, right? Okay, and then we resolve on the E, right? See some right there, right? Okay, and so then we can go to the B, for example, right? And so the B is shown right there. So again, we still have the first position of the minor pentatonic, but then the D shape, you see, it's up there, right? Okay. And so now we have in mind a bit the B, which is here, and the A, so we can switch between the two chords, right? Sorry. Okay, so we always can resolve to the E, because we have the E that is still in our ears, and then just play around with the different chords. Okay, so for example the C sharp minor here. So it has this nice series of 3 notes next to each other. And so on. So to go a bit wilder, now we can try to incorporate chords that are out of the scale. But at least at my level, it's a bit hard because I can only arpeggiate the chords. So we remember that Rick used the D chord, right? So it's here, and he used it followed by the A. Okay. So this movement sounds nice. I mean, the D followed by the A, I don't think it's randomness, actually. There must be some reason, so if you know them, write them in the comments. I'd be very interested. But so still in the D, which again, the D doesn't belong to the E scale, it's the D sharp diminished that belongs to the E scale. So this is a borrowed chord from the E minor scale, okay? And back to the E major, okay? So we can try to do it a bit faster. So we're just noodling around the pentatonic. Okay, then there are some other chords, the C, the F, and the B7 that we can play around with. So the C would be here. So of course now, as an exercise, you can play with all the chords that Rick has shown. You have also the chords that belong to the E scale and the ones that are borrowed from other scales, such as the C and the F that he uses, and the D, of course, that we've seen. Okay, so have fun practicing. Remember, try to switch from the simple pentatonic diagram to highlight some chords that belong to the scale, and then try to also highlight some chords that are outside the scale, but make sure you go back. It's also a matter of trust and confidence. Actually, you know where to go back to. You know the E is here, so you could even play whatever, depending on the background and depending on the audience too, I guess. But you could play whatever, and as long as you resolve to where you should go, then everybody's happy, right? I could, play a random pentatonic pattern. Oh, maybe here. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the little lesson. So if you want to support the channel, you can of course subscribe, share the video, or you could also listen to some of the songs I've made. So look at the playlist that should appear, or that should be around right there. Click on it and listen to it, and please let me know what you think of my little creations. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.